Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining me here, and I'm really looking forward to today's conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel. This is exciting for me.
Yeah.
It's excited me on so many fronts because we're really getting down to the bare bones. We're getting down to the basics.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting down to perhaps the burdens and the struggles, but the hope.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the neat thing about today's conversation. That's why I'm excited to be here. So
yeah,
thank you again.
Yeah, my pleasure, my honor. Icebreaker question for you.
Uh-oh.
All right, so we have in life, there's bitter times and sweet times. I want to know, for sweet things, what's your favorite type of dessert?
Oh, wow.
Weren't expecting that question.
Yeah, I wasn't getting ready for this one. So the funny thing is, I'm not a dessert person.
Okay.
No, I'll have a second helping of something else, so I'm just not a dessert person.
Like a fruit bowl?
Yeah, a fruit bowl would be fine. I gotta be honest with you, I'm just not a dessert person.
That's okay.
And a lot of people wouldn't believe me, perhaps by my belly, but no, I'm not a huge dessert person. So to answer the question truthfully, I would have to say my mother-in-law Grace's apple pie, but it has to have a hunk of cheddar cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I've had apple pie with cheddar cheese on before. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of the people watching are like, "Why would he put cheese on an apple pie?" It's really
the
good.
Greatest.
Try it.
It's the greatest.
Yeah. And actually, I'm thinking about dessert now, so my mouth's starting to water. You ever have the Portuguese custard egg tarts? Those are really good, and they're not. Some of them are sweet, but that's one of my favorite types of dessert.
I didn't see that one coming. This is going to be This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it is fun, and it can be fun, and also like we can be on the gamut of emotions. So as I've told other interviewees, don't be afraid to cry if you need to cry, because we can talk about anything today.
Thank you.
And I'll try my best not to blubber too much.
Fair enough.
So we'd like to know, what is your vision for the families in the community that you serve?
Again, it's for me, it's really, really simple. It's a vision of hope. It's a vision of opportunity. So, full disclosure, 2.5 months ago, I became a grandfather for the first time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Little Levi has now entered our world. And I guess I'll put it to you this way. I thought I had the world figured out, Daniel, with 3 children. So I have 3 wonderful children, 2 boys and a daughter, 22, 20, and 18. And I thought I kind of had it figured out. And then Levi came into the world. And from the moment I held that little man, I now see the world through a different set of lenses. And that lens is what opportunity, what legacy, what chance are we leaving future generations? And what can I do today to ensure that they're successful tomorrow, that they're proud to be Canadian, that they can start their own business, they can be entrepreneurs if they wish to, they can start a family, they can afford a home. And so that's my real focus. That's why I get up in the morning, honestly, and get jumping when I get out of bed. That's what excites me. How do we leave the world a better place than we found it? And but again, it all goes back to one word, and it's hope. And we as a society, as Canadians, that's what we need today. Because the last 18 months has been anything but that. We need to have vision. We need to have hope.
Yeah, a lot of people lost a lot of hope over the last while.
There's a lot of divisiveness.
Yeah.
There's so much divisiveness. There's not a lot of unity, and it's unfortunate. But that's the job of leaders, and that's what we do.
True.
And that's why we need to continue to focus on that.
That's good. I like how you talked about your grandbaby. That's awesome. I know grandchildren can bring so much hope and joy. And I saw it in my parents when my sister had her first child, and that was their first grandbaby, and it just changed their world. It was awesome.
Yeah,
great. Now, next question. As a politician, you're vying for people's support. Like, that's something that you need to do. Do you ever find it difficult to maintain a genuine empathy? I know you're dealing with so many people on a daily basis. And even myself, just to give a little maybe background, I think about myself. I see people going through a hard time every single day, right? As a funeral director, They walk into the office. I have a checklist of things that I need to do and to go through with them. So I can be faced sometimes with that as well. And I'm wondering if that's something that you ever deal with.
That's a really unique question, too. I like that question. And I guess I'm going to start out this way. The answer very quickly is no. No, in that I never, ever have a lack of empathy. And the second portion of the question is this. You become like the people that you surround yourself with. And I have been incredibly blessed to have one of the most unique, talented staff that help people literally 24/7. Literally 24/7. At the height of COVID-19, my office was receiving upwards of 1,000 inquiries, be it email, phone call, social media, per day. Seriously,
wow.
Per day.
Wow.
And so...
so don't feel bad if you're missed.
Yeah, if you missed, I apologize. I apologize. Now it'd be down to somewhere in the 1 to 150 a day. But at the end of the day, it goes like this. I am surrounded by such talented people. My team is second to none, and they have helped so many fantastic people. And I'll just tell you a quick story if I could on this one.
Please.
So probably one of my favorite moments as a member of Parliament. One of the most touching moments is my chief of staff and I and the rest of my team had worked for about a month and a half or 2 months with a woman that's from Amherstburg. I won't say any names. And her husband was from Michigan, and he had hip surgery.
Okay.
And we had worked with the minister's public safety officer and along with public Canada, PHAC.
Okay.
And we had worked with them and for family reunification to get people back together.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
So on Christmas Eve, this last Christmas Eve, we were on the phone literally with the minister's office, working hard on the file well into the afternoon. At about 2:30 on Christmas Day, we got a text with a picture from the woman in tears, sitting on the couch with her husband.
Wow.
In Amherstburg.
Beautiful.
So it's those kinds of moments that say, again, what excites you? What do you want to do? Are you here to serve? Are you here to
It's rewarding.
And that's so rewarding. So as far as empathy goes, everybody has an issue, and we're here to help as much as we can for every issue. So I hope that's a fair answer.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. It's a good perspective, and it's good to remind ourselves, for me to remind myself when I go in the morning. Usually I'll pray on my way into work to say, like, God help me help somebody, basically.
That's right.
And so to have that perspective of we're looking to help, we're looking to bring hope and to encourage somebody and to reunite people, like that's pretty powerful. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
For sure.
Can you tell me of a personal experience that you've had with death that has affected your perspective in life?
So, as a retired firefighter, 7.5 years, proud member of the Kingsville Fire Department. Obviously, I saw a lot.
Yeah,
I saw a ton, and it comes with a burden. Honestly, Daniel, it does. It's I almost want to say baggage, but I don't know if I like that term. But there's a.
If I can interrupt you for a second,
sure,
I'm sorry, but. That term baggage and or burden, grief, grief is from an old French term. I'm going to mispronounce it, but gravier, and that term means burden. So the what you have gone through and that weight and that baggage that you have carrying with you, that's part of that grief that you carry. Right, through what you've seen.
Right.
So sorry, please get back to it.
No, for sure, absolutely. Yeah. So there's just so many stories. Could be it drowning, be it car accidents, fires, right? Yeah. So I've been, I'm going to say this, and this is going to sound weird. I've been fortunate to see so much. Okay? And so that I get a different perspective when others are grieving. I'm able to relate to certain things, right? But I guess to get right down to the brass knuckles of the whole thing, Grandpa Jack, my grandfather Jack. And this was his bat. Grandpa Jack was actually recruited by the Detroit Tigers back during the World War II. And his parents said, no, you can't go. You got to work on the farm. So Grandpa Jack worked with our family business. I think he passed at 92. And I'll never forget two things. Never forget his popcorn. Okay. And there was just something about Grandpa Jack's popcorn that was just different than everybody else's popcorn.
Probably wasn't microwaved.
No. It was in a pot with some oil on the bottom.
Nice.
And I will tell you, and I did a lot of hunting on Manitoulin deer hunting with Grandpa Jack, and he was just part of my life. We spent a lot of time there. And I will tell you, when I went to visit him in the hospital the last time, he was asleep most of the time. Mm-hmm. Grandma Margaret sitting beside him. She's since passed as well. And he woke up right before I had to leave. And he kind of reached for me and said two things twice. He said one thing twice. Come back. Come back. And he passed away that night.
Wow.
And that's all that he said to me. And of course, to this day, the words don't haunt me. The words are actually exciting. Come back, but come back to where? And I think that's the journey that we're on, that we're all on, spiritually. I believe we're on that journey spiritually, trying to stick handle through. Pardon the pun. Everybody can tell I'm a big hockey nut, right? Yeah. Stick handle through this journey called life. That sometimes we lose what we think is the most important person in our life. And sometimes we also get the greatest gift because that person was in our life. So specifically, I would share my Grandpa Jack story with you only because it's probably the one that's touched me the dearest, and because of what he said. Sat up in a hospital bed and reached out and said, but come back, come back. So come back to what? Right? So to your point on the grieving, I don't really believe that he meant come back to the hospital, because I believe he knew the time was up. Come back to what? Come back to family?
Right.
Come back to the spirit? Mm-hmm. Come back to your friends? Who knows? Right. But that's why we can smile about it and rejoice that we had that moment, that opportunity to share that. So
that's good. Thank you for sharing. Mm-hmm. It brings to my mind, I hear eulogies all the time, almost daily. And many times in eulogies, people are referring to the different character qualities and characteristics of their loved one that's passed. And you sharing that and sharing his experience and the effect that it's had on your life, those experiences don't leave. Like we can really sometimes we can suppress them, but at the same time we can also encourage them to allow us to grow in areas in our life to make us better for other people. So come back to roots, come back to family, come back to the Lord, come back. There's certain things that are always trying to distract us and get us away. Mm-hmm. And then there's other things that we need to come back to and realize that the important things. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely. I like that perspective too.
Thank you. So now, do you have any particular song or sight or smell that when you hear it or experience it, it brings you back to a time that you've had an experience with death?
I guess I go back to popcorn, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Although I have to tell you, every time I smell popcorn, I don't necessarily think about Grandpa Jack, of course, right?
Oh, right.
But I would say I would have to say things like sights. Like when I see a car accident, of course, I think about 7.5 years of rushing to a car scene.
Wow.
When I see a fire,
That's true.
There's a lot of smells, there's a lot of sights, but I think the easiest way to answer it is once you acknowledge the fact that the environment around you is filled with all those feelings, all those emotions, all those sights, all the smells, once you acknowledge that, I don't know that it's so much suppressed anymore, Daniel. I think it's a function of you see it for what it is, and it does bring back some memories. But I wouldn't suggest that they have to necessarily be negative.
Right.
Right. So there's some real sad things that people go through, but there's always a golden lining. There's always something that we can find at the end that at least, if nothing else, to sit down and talk about.
Yes.
And have an open conversation and embrace the situation. So, as far as to your point and to your question, I probably have way too many to answer right now, but I'll just kind of park it there. I didn't really answer your question very well, but I'm being honest.
Well, no, actually, it brought up a lot of other ideas in my mind, and I'm sure with the viewers that, and I might not be able to verbalize it properly. I might have to process it a little bit more, but the fact that, especially someone like a firefighter who's seen and goes through a lot, that those experiences, and like you said, they don't have to always be negative. Some are going to be negative, but then maybe that's a time for reflection and healing as you're moving on or moving forward in your life and carrying that grief. Right. And then other times it can make you smile, like oh yeah, that one time it might not have been a great experience, but it taught me something that is reminding me of that lesson that was taught, so I can move forward.
That's right, Daniel. And just to your point again, and then how can I comfort someone and share that lesson with them?
True, because you're going to get a throwback to when you went through that lesson, and then you're going to see that person who's going through that same thing or something very similar.
That's right.
So how can I now help that person?
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now's your chance to ask Daniel, the funeral director, anything.
Oh boy, oh boy. So, my question to you, and it's not about dessert, by the way. Okay. So, what makes Daniel get excited, hit the ground running every single morning to go help families in grief? What is you must have something that makes you tick, because let's face it, in a world that is so perhaps confusing, that's unfortunately right now so full of divisiveness and hate across country to country, in such a negative world, what makes Daniel say, I am called to go help?
Yeah.
What is it?
That's a good question. Very good question. And I appreciate it. Thank you. So when I get up in the morning and I'm putting on my dress pants and my tie and my vest and my jacket, combing my hair. Oh, wait, my beard. What I am looking forward to the opportunity to walk somebody through maybe the hardest time of their life, and to make it a little bit easier for them. And in doing so, I feel like I'm able to share God's kingdom and God's love to that person. And that's what just I love about what I do. And I get up in the morning and I'm like, I might be able to help someone through their sorrow today. And that's a calling that I'm so grateful for. And it's so deep to be able to share that in God's love and to try to help people through that hard time. And I'm so fortunate that I've been able to be, or that I've been called to being a funeral director, to be able to share that and to serve people in that regard.
So Daniel, I would be remiss if I didn't say you and I are very much alike.
Yes,
we're both very much believers. We very much give our lives back to the Lord, of course. But we're both here to serve, and one is through the political realm, and one is through, honestly, it's really as a ministry, right? So helping. So
that's I've been studying different leadership books and ideas because I want to be a good leader in wherever I'm at. Whether it's at my home or in the community and at my work, I don't have to be a manager or have any position. I can be a leader wherever, and we can be leaders wherever we're at.
Sure we can.
And
each of us can, right?
Every single one of us can be a leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm cleaning the bathrooms at my work, I can be leading in that example.
Clean it the best, better than anyone else.
Absolutely.
Exactly, because they still need it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to your earlier point about leadership, and you said serving others, and that's what I feel is ultimately the best leader, is the person who's leading to serve others.
One last question for you. I know I was only allowed one.
You're allowed. Actually, you're allowed a couple.
Am I? Okay,
yeah.
I got one more for you.
Yeah.
So for people that are grieving, for people that don't know where to turn, they're lost. They're hurt. They're just not sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're weary. They're tired. What message do you, as a funeral director, and I don't want to say pull it out of people.
Mm-hmm.
What avenue? What's that phrase that says it's okay to talk about this?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to come forward. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm quite sure I don't know anybody that can grieve in just 3 days.
No,
right.
Absolutely
So
not.
lose a loved one
for sure,
and then have a couple days and then bury your loved one.
That would be something I would consider as unhealthy grief,
right?
And that if you just try to move on.
So
unfortunately, in our generation, we like everything to be convenient.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
But something I often say is death is inconvenient. It really is. There's nothing convenient about death, and to be able to slow down and take the time to talk about your loved one, that's huge. Share stories. Talk about how you shared your grandfather's story surrounding about when he died. That's a really important thing, actually, in healthy grieving, to be able to share with other people who are willing to listen, and they can share their story back as well. And the more we share, the more we realize that what we're going through, even though it feels maybe wrong or you feel guilty for what you're the feelings you're feeling, it's normal though. And it is normal to go through all of these different feelings and experiences.
Where do people turn to, Dana?
Where they turn to? Turn to each other.
Okay.
And I'm a believer, I say turn to God. So there's a scripture that says that God is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those who cry out to him. And that's one thing maybe that I feel is I'm so blessed to be able to be in the funeral industry, because people are brokenhearted and God is close to the brokenhearted. So he is there to help you through. And sometimes when we go through bad times and grief, we're tempted to blame God or to get angry at God. And that's a normal reaction as well. But always realize that when we call out to him, he's near, he's close to us. So reach out to each other and reach out to the Lord. And then you're surrounding yourself with the support. And I mean, there's great materials as well. Focus on the Family has a pamphlet called Walking Through Grief. We'll put a link in the description.
Good. And
that it's a wonderful pamphlet that goes through a lot of different things. It's very thorough. So check that out. And yeah, just keep on sharing stories and talking.
Fair enough.
Yeah, thanks.
Excellent. Thanks for the question.
Absolutely. Well, finally, I'd like to offer you the opportunity to share with everyone watching what you have going on. What would you like to share? I know you've got a lot going on.
I got quite a bit going on, folks. I always turn back and say, for me, it's really simple. How many people can you help the quickest? How many lives can you touch the quickest? I can't wait to get back to some type of normalcy, to get to events, to be with folks and those types of things.
Right.
What do I got going on? I got a little boy named Levi. And everything that I do during the day, as crazy as this might sound, Daniel, everything that I do during the day goes back to Levi. And I'm using Levi as the example because every day we have new humans coming into this world.
Mm.
And what can Chris Lewis do today
Right.
to make sure that they're set up for success in the future?
Awesome.
And that's the world that I live in, and that's the path that I believe this country and this world needs to be on. But it's only the path truthfully guided by the Word and the Holy Spirit. That's the world I live in, and I'm proud to say it.
Yeah.
If I wasn't in that, listen, I'm just Chris Lewis.
Right.
People want to say, "Oh, well, you're the MP." No, I'm Chris Lewis, and I'm really blessed that I have a fantastic team around me to help people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the face and I'm the name, but I'm nothing better than that. But I'll certainly work my booty off hard to ensure that little Levi has an opportunity going forward. So that's, I guess, what do I got going on? I got a ton of work to do, and the majority of it's the Lord's work, and I'm proud to do it, and I'll do it for as long as they keep me here. So, Daniel, thank you very much. This has been fantastic.
Thank you so much for joining me in Conversations with Daniel, a funeral director.
Fantastic.
I'm really happy, and yeah, thanks once again. Appreciate it.
But thank you.